if the numbers match for majority of the characters, or if the numbers between two organisms are matching one another, then they will be put under one group of organisms. So that is how, based on, it is computer generated. Who developed the artificial classification system? So artificial classification system was developed by Linnaeus. Carrageen and algin both are hydrocolloidal in nature. They produce the water holding substance called hydrocolloid in them. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to this revision session on first PUC Biology. I am Dr. Divya, Biology faculty, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. So in this session, we shall do revision on the chapter, that is Plant Kingdom. So in this session, actually, I'll be covering synopsis of the chapter, that is what are the important concepts in this particular chapter along with some examples and multiple choice questions. Whereas, according to the blueprint given by the PU board from this chapter, it has a total weightage of, that is 5 marks questions will be asked and 1 MCQ will be asked from this particular chapter. So 5 mark questions, we'll deal with that in the second session. Okay. So in this session, we'll mainly concentrate on the synopsis and the multiple choice questions. So in this chapter, first, there is the topic that is called a system of classification. So the system of classification was given by 3 important scientists, and there are 3 types of classification. One is the artificial system of classification, the other one is the natural system of classification, and the third one is the phylogenetic system. And phylogenetic system is the one that is followed today. An artificial system of classification, the credit goes to Linnaeus, wherein he classified the organism based on their vegetative as well as sexual characteristics. But there was a drawback in this particular system because the vegetative and sexual characteristic of any of the organism tends to change based on the seasons and all that, or based on the nature or based on the health of that particular organism also. So therefore, this cannot be kept as a main base for classifying and grouping the organisms under different taxa. So therefore, that is when a natural system of classification came into existence, and that was done by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker, and hence natural system of classification is also called as Bentham and Hooker system of classification. So they, along with the vegetative and the sexual characters, they also took into consideration the external and the internal features of the organism, wherein they gave importance to the ultrastructure of the organism, how the organism looks, that is external view, and they also went in for learning about the anatomy, the embryology and the phytochemistry of the organism as well. So these were the points which were considered for classifying organism under different taxa. Later on, because of some very few drawbacks in this system also, phylogenetic system of classification came into existence, which is based on evolutionary relationship between organisms. So that is also one of the reasons why we are put along with the monkeys, that is under primata, right? Or based on, that is under chordata under primata. So here it is based on evolutionary relationship, and this is today considered one of the accurate ways of, or accurate method or accurate features used for classifying an organism. Moving further, let's study about the taxonomy. So in taxonomy, there are 3 types of taxonomies that are adopted. So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but studying the groups of organisms based on their external and internal characters and then placing them under respective groups or taxa. So that is how it is done. So for that, different forms are used, wherein one is called as numerical taxonomy, the other one is cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy. Numerical taxonomy is based on numbers and codes. This is a computer generated system. Say for example, we have Solanaceae members. So Solanaceae members, how do you group them? Say for example, one of the important characteristic of Solanaceae member is epipetalous, right? Stamens, epipetalous stamens. So epipetalous stamens, they'll give a number for that. 1. Taproot, they'll give a number 2. So based on that, in the computer itself, the codes will be fed. So for this character, this is the number. So If the numbers match for majority of the characters, or if the numbers between two organisms are matching one another, then they will be put under one group of organisms. So that is how, based on, it is computer generated. Next is cytotaxonomy. It is based on what is there inside the cell, the chromosome number, and then the structure of the chromosome, the behavior of the chromosome or the structure of the cell, the behavior of the organelles inside the cell, all that depends on this. So that is cytotaxonomy. Next is chemotaxonomy. It is the chemical constituents. That is, sometimes maybe the organisms, when you look at the organism, they may appear same. But when you take it to a lab and do chemical analysis on it, the compounds present in them may be entirely different. So then at that time, you can't group it under the same group, right? You can't put those organisms under the same group. So for that, chemotaxonomy is followed. Next, moving further, we'll go to kingdom Plantae. So under kingdom Plantae, they are grouped into different classes. That is algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Algae are again divided into chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae and rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae, they are the green algae. Phaeophyceae, they are the brown algae, and rhodophyceae are the red algae. Under chlorophyceae, there is Chlamydomonas. All these are very important. They can come. Examples, especially for MCQs, they can come. Chlorophyceae, it is Chlamydomonas, Eulothrix, Spirogyra and Cara. Phaeophyceae, it is Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Sargassum and Fucus. Next, Rhodophyceae, it is Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria and Gelidium. Gracilaria and Gelidium are quite economically important because agar is derived from them and it has a lot of uses in the market. That is in food preparation as well as in laboratory work as well. Next, bryophytes, it is of two forms, that is liverworts and mosses. Under liverworts, there is Marchantia and Rixia. Under mosses, it is Funaria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum. Next comes pteridophytes. Under that, it is again divided into Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida and Pteropsida. So Psilopsida, example is Psilotum. Lycopsida, it is Selaginella and Lycopodium. Spinopsida, it is Equisetum. And Pteropsida, it is Dryopteris and it is Pteris. Next, under gymnosperms, there are different examples: Pinus, Cycas, Cedrus and Ginkgo. Gymnosperms are those cone-bearing plants which have naked seeds. Okay, so gymnos means seeds, sperma naked. Gymnos means naked, sperma means seeds. So naked seeds. So this is about, these are the contents that are there inside the topic. Next, let's look into some of the MCQs. Who developed the artificial classification system? So artificial classification system was developed by Linnaeus. Who developed the natural classification system? Natural classification system was developed by Benther and Hooker, and that is why it is also called as Benther and Hooker system of classification. Next, which of the following is a filamentous form of algae? Filaments means it looks like a filament. It looks like a filament like this. So volvox, actually, it looks almost round. They occur in colonies like this and round, and that colony will be covered by a gelatinous sheet. Kelp, they are huge algal forms which don't have a particular shape. Next, fucus. Fucus also is not filamentous. Therefore, Spirogyra, it is filamentous algae. They are spirally arranged in the form of filament. Next, Spirogyra is an example for Chlorophyceae member. Chlorophyceae member. Next question. What is the term for the fusion of a large non-motile female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete? So, fertilization can be isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. So, in isogamous, it is the fusion between the male and the female gamete which are similar in structure. Anisogamous is the fusion between the male and the female gamete which are dissimilar in structure. Oogamous is the fusion of one large male gamete, that is one large female gamete and a small male gamete, wherein the female gamete will always be large and it will not be capable of moving, that is, it will be non-motile, and the male gamete will always be smaller in size and it will be Motile, capable of moving. It is smaller in size because it has to travel fast towards the female gamete. That is the reason. And it is motile because it needs to swim towards the female gamete. So therefore, that condition is called as oogamous. Oogamous is the answer here. Isogamous, fusion between the male and the female gamete which are of similar size. Anisogamous, fusion between the male and the female gamete which are of similar life, wherein they can be motile or they can be non-motile as well. It depends either way. So next question, what is the name of water holding substrate produced by brown algae? Brown algae means it is Phaeophyceae. Now read the question very carefully. I have asked particularly regarding brown algae, because carrageen and algin both are hydrocolloidal in nature. They produce the water holding substance called hydrocolloid in them. But what is the question? You have to find out which brown algae which produces a hydrocolloid substance. So brown algae produces algin. Red algae produces carrageen. Red, red. Remember like that. So red algae produces a hydrocolloid substance called carrageen. Brown algae produces a hydrocolloid substance called algin. Next question here. Which type of algae produces carrageen as hydrocolloid? Now see how they have changed the question. There I asked what is the name of the water holding substance produced by brown algae? Carrageen, chondrus, laminaria. Chondrus and laminaria has nothing to do with it. The option that is left here is carrageen and algin. In that, carrageen is produced by red algae, that is Rhodophyceae members. But algin is the one that is produced by the, algin is the hydrocolloid substance that is produced by the brown algae, that is Phaeophyceae member. In this, see the question how I have asked, which type of algae produces carrageen as a hydrocolloid? So, red algae produces algin as a hydrocolloid. Green algae, blue-green algae is nothing but your cyanobacteria that has nothing to do with production of a water-holding substance called hydrocolloid. So, we are left out with brown algae and red algae. Red algae produces algin. Brown algae is the one that actually produces carrageen. So, this is how the question can be asked. Or there they can ask which type of algae produces algin as a hydrocolloid. Then it will be red algae. Option will be red algae. Or there it will be what is the name of the water holding substance produced by red algae? Then the answer will be carrageen. Like that. Okay, you have to be very careful. Read the question once or twice, because in a haste you tend to answer. So that is why. Next, what are the members of Chlorophyceae commonly called? Green plants, green algae, blue algae, brown algae. No, it is green algae. Brown algae, it is Phaeophyceae members. Next, what is the main pigment responsible for the green color of green algae? Options are chlorophyll A and B, both are present in green algae. But in that, chlorophyll A is mainly responsible for the green color in that. Okay, so don't get confused. When both are given, it's better you mark chlorophyll A. So the answer is chlorophyll A. Next question. Name one of the commonly found green algae, red algae, brown algae, diatoms. Diatoms has nothing to do with this. Diatoms usually come under the second chapter, that is Protista. So it comes under Protista. So it has nothing to do with this. So the answer here is Spirogyra. Spirogyra is an example for green algae. And there are other examples under Chlorophyceae also, which I have given in the synopsis. Have a look. Next, which groups of organisms have pyrenoids? So pyrenoids is a storage structure which is present. So in which organism? It is usually found in Chlorophyceae. So in Chlorophyceae, it is in the form of pyrenoids, or it can also be in the form of oil droplets. Next question. Which pigment is responsible for the brown coloration of Phaeophyceae? So Phaeophyceae algae are brown in color. So which pigment is responsible for that? Of course, they have this chlorophyll A, carotenoids, xanthophylls, fucoxanthin and all that. Now, don't get confused between xanthophyle and fucoxanthin. Fucoxanthin is a type of xanthophyle pigment that gives the brown coloration to the Phaeophyceae member. So, therefore, here you have to choose option D, that is fucoxanthin. Next question. How is food stored in Phaeophyceae, that is in brown algae? So, it is stored in the form of complex carbohydrates. It's not in the form of proteins, lipids or anything else, but it is complex carbohydrate, or they can give the option as laminarin or mannitol. If they give, whenever you find food stored in pheophyce, and the option is laminarin and mannitol, that also you can mark because they are stored in the form of complex carbohydrates such as laminarin and mannitol. So that option also can be given. Next question. What is the structure that attaches the pheophyceae plant body to the substratum? Is it stripe, frond, holdfast, all of the above? All of the above belongs to pheophyceae itself, wherein the stripe is the stem, the frond is the leaf. Holdfast is actually, it is a root-like structure, root-like, that actually helps the plant, that is pheophyceae member, to attach itself to the substratum. So the right answer here is option C. Next, what shape are the gametes of pheophyceae? They are piriform, or instead of piriform, they can also give it as pear shape. So because piriform is nothing but pear shape. Option is pear shape. Next, what is the food stored as in red algae? Here I've asked for red algae. Now the answer is Floridian starch. It is stored in the form of starch, especially Floridian starch, and don't get confused. And that Floridian starch has a structure which is similar to glycogen and amylopectin. Okay, so this question is also very important. Which form of storage material is similar to glycogen and amylopectin? I think in one of the question papers that asked that. So it is Floridian starch. Floridian starch has structures or components similar to glycogen and amylopectin. But what is the question here? What is the food stored as in red algae? Red algae, they can also ask us what is the food stored as in rhodophyceae, because red algae also known as rhodophyceae. It is Floridian starch. Next, what type of sexual reproduction do red algae undergo? Which one? Red algae. There are different forms of reproduction: isogamous, anisogamous, oogamous. Parthenogenesis it doesn't come under this, so we can eliminate this. It is oogamous, particularly oogamous, wherein one large non-motile female gamete fuses with a smaller motile male gamete. It is oogamous. Next question, why are bryophytes also called amphibians of the plant kingdom? So what do amphibians do? They're capable of living both on land as water, right? So here the options that I've given us, they can breathe both water and air. No, that's not true. That's not suitable for this. They can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. Yes, this is the right answer. That is option B is the right answer, because they can live in the soil. They usually live in the soil, but during the process of reproduction, the gametes move to the water, because the male gamete, if it has to go and meet the female gamete, it requires water for that. So that is the reason. Next question. What is the main plant body of bryophytes called? The main plant body of bryophyte is called as gametophyte. Therefore, gametophytic generation is the most predominant stage in the life cycle of bryophytes. So it is called as gametophyte. What is the male sex organ in bryophytes called? It is called as antheridium. The anthrozoids and the oogonia, the egg fuses to form the zygote. Okay, and male sex organ is called as antheridium, whereas the female sex organ is called as the archegonium. So here, what is my question here? What is a male sex organ in bryophytes called? It is called antheridium. So next question. What do anthrozoids fuse with to produce a zygote? What do anthrozoids? The anthrozoids, which are the male gamete, should go and fuse with something if it has to form a zygote. What is that something? It is nothing but the archegonium, which is the female gametophyte. Next question. What is the plant body of a liverwort? Liverwort means bryophyte. So it comes under, because bryophytes are of two forms, that is liverworts and mosses. So what is the plant body of a liverwort? It is thalloid. So usually they are called as thallus or thalloid. It is a thalloid. Next, what are the specialized structures called that help in sexual reproduction in liverworts? So liverworts have some specialized structure that have something in it which helps in sexual reproduction, and it is somewhat cup-shaped, okay, and they are called as gemmae. They are cup-shaped structures which gemma cups, and they have gemmae in them, which are nothing but the specialized structures that aid in or help in sexual reproduction. It is gemmae. Or next question. what is the predominant stage of the moss life cycle in moss? So here it is gametophytic stage, because moss comes under bryophytes. So don't get confused, moss comes under bryophytes. So in bryophytes, which is the most predominant stage, or which is the plant body is called as a gametophyte, and therefore gametophytic stage is the most predominant stage. So because moss comes under bryophytes, here also it is gametophytic stage or gametophyte stage. Now in gametophyte stage, there are two stages, that is protonema and leafy stage. Don't get confused. Don't mark these two, because these are the two stages that come under the gametophyte stage itself. Okay, so you have to mark gametophytic stage as the right answer here. Next question. What is the first stage of the gametophyte stage? So which is the first stage? It is the protonema stage. Leafy stage is the second stage. It is the second stage. First stage is the protonema stage. Next question. What is the second stage of the gametophyte? It is the leafy stage. First stage is which one? Protonema stage. Next, how are mosses attached to the soil? Through multicellular and branched rhizoids, through roots, through stem, through leaves. Now, through stem and leaves, you can eliminate. The doubt here that arises is roots or rhizoids. No, they don't have nothing like roots. They have branch structures called as rhizoids, which help them to firmly attach to the soil. So it is option A. Next question. What are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues? It is pteridophytes. So until then, be it the algae or the bryophytes, they do not have xylem and phloem in them. It is the pteridophytes from which the xylem and phloem start. So therefore, xylem and phloem or vascular tissues are the first seen in pteridophytes. Next question. What is the dominant phase in the life cycle of bryophytes? So, in the bryophytes, which is the dominant phase? Is it the sporophytic plant body? Is it the prothallus? Is it the gametophytic plant body? Is it the male and the female sex organ? It is the gametophytic plant body. In pteridophytes, it is the sporophytic plant body. Next question. What is the main plant body in the pteridophyte? It is a sporophyte. Sporophyte is the main plant body. Next question. What are the leaf-like appendages called that subtend the sporangia in? So, in sporophytes. So, in sporophytes, that is especially, they have some leaf-like structures which form clusters wherein the sporangia are situated, and they are called as sporophylls, wherein phyll means leaf. Phyll means leaf. So, therefore, it is sporophylls. What are sporophylls? They are group or cluster-like leaf-like appendages in which the sporangia are present, or in which the sporophytes are present. What is there in the sporophytes? Sporangia are there, or sporangia are there. So therefore, the right answer here, the leaf-like appendages are nothing but sporophylls. Archegonia is the male organ, anthrazoid is the female organ. So these two options can be eliminated. Next question. What are the small, inconspicuous, free-living photosynthetic gametophytes called in pteridophytes? Prothallus, anthrazoids, archegonia, sporophylls. So it is, what are the small free-living photosynthetic gametophytes called in pteridophytes? So it is called as prothallus. So the free-living, so before forming or before developing into the plant, or a normal adult pteridophyte plant, they undergo a stage called as prothallus, which is completely free-living, and that is nothing but they are small, inconspicuous, free-living photosynthetic gametophytes, and they are called as prothallus in the case of pteridophytes. Next, which of the following genera produces two kinds of spores and are known as heterosporous? So heterosporous, it is Selaginella and Salvinia. So Selaginella, all these come under pteridophytes itself. But among that, heterosporous, meaning two different types of spores are produced in the same plant itself. So that is in Selaginella and Salvinia. So it is heterosporous spore condition is seen in that. Next question. What does the term gymnose mean in gymnosperm? Seeds are covered, ovules are covered, both seeds and ovules are uncovered, plants have no roots. It is both seeds and ovules are uncovered, wherein gymnose means naked, sperma means seed. Okay. Next question. In which species are male and female cones born on different trees? It is in Cycas. Of course, Pinus, Cedrus and Sequoia, all these come under gymnosperms itself, but especially in Cycas, they'll have a male plant and a female plant separate. Okay, so the option B is the right answer here. Next question. Which part of the ovule in gymnosperm contains the megaspore mother cell? Is it the megasporophyll? Is it the nucleus? Is it the megasporophyll? Is it the nucellus? Is it the sporangium or the archegonium? It is nucellus. So inside the ovary, the nucellus is the one that actually contains the megaspore mother cell in it. So the answer here is nucellus. Next question. What type of roots are generally found in gymnosperms? Is it fibrous? No, fibrous roots you usually get to find in monocots. Adventitious roots means they are the extra roots like in sugarcane, banyan tree and all that which supports the plant. So here the roots are generally tap roots. Tap roots you find them in dicots. So here the roots are generally tap roots in the case of gymnosperms. Next, what is the name given to the small specialized roots found in cycas? Mycorrhiza, tap roots, adventitious roots, coralloids. Of course, in gymnosperms you find tap roots, but there are some small specialized roots which are present in them that help in fixing nitrogen, and they are called as coralloid roots in cycas. They are called as coralloid roots. Next, what is the function of coralloid root in cycas? Absorption of water and nutrients, photosynthesis, nitrogen fixation, anchoring of the plant to the ground. It is nitrogen fixation. So these coralloid roots, they help in nitrogen fixation. So next question, which microorganisms are associated with coralloid roots in cycas? Fungi, mycorrhiza, cyanobacteria, rhizobia. It is cyanobacteria. So in the coralloid roots of cycas, cyanobacteria will be present, which helps in nitrogen fixation. But in the pinus, it is mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza, you find it in pinus and it is a fungi. Cyanobacteria is a bacteria which is also called as blue-green algae. Rhizobia, you find them in leguminous plants. Okay, so it has nothing to do with the cycas. Next question. Which is the smallest angiosperm? This is one of the most common questions that usually appears. It is Wolffia. Wolffia, it just looks like green dots. That is how it looks. So, largest is eucalyptus. Eucalyptus is the largest. Wolffia is the smallest. So, the right answer here is Wolffia. So, this was about the session wherein we learnt about the synopsis, that is what is there in the chapter with all the examples and all that, and also we got to know the MCQs under this particular chapter. So I hope you found this session useful. So we shall meet again in the coming session, that is with the continuation of this revision class itself, wherein we'll discuss the 5 marks questions, important 5 marks questions there. So see you in the next session of this chapter. Thank you.